All right. Today we'll be talking about authentication with Django and Vue.js. So first of all, I'll start by logging in to see how this works. All right, so I'll just go over here. All right, so that we see how it plays out. Perfect. So I'll just log in with my email and password. It is set to use email and password even though I have username here, but I'm using email and password. I'll show that later on. All right, so I click login. So one thing we want to see is if the token is there, because we are using JWT. So as we can see, we have a token right here. And I'll just try a few things. I'll just try like refreshing, reloading the page. And this one, by the way, is if I'm to inspect the state, uh, boom. So we can see that this is coming from a Vuex getter. So this the user is picked from the database after we have successfully logged in. All right. So if I refresh, everything looks good. The other things are I'll try to go to the login page while I'm logged in, press enter. It still automatically redirects me to the login or to the home page, which is the dashboard mainly. So we're going to try some other things, like we're going to manually remove the token here and then see if we will still be logged in. Because if I even navigate to these other pages and even try to refresh, I'll still be logged in and the token will still be there. All right, so let me clear this and then we see what happens. Now let me try to refresh. It will automatically take me to the login page, and as we can see, the token is not there. So if I try to go to maybe a page like this, it will automatically redirect me to the login page. Okay, so let me log in again. All right. Looks good so far. So I can also actually log in from here. If I try to log out, sorry, you can see the token is gone and this one. All right. So that being said, I want to also show that we can use Postman for the same. So within here, I'll just so if I try to, for example, okay, I guess this token is still. So if I don't put any token, this is the endpoint that returns the user, the logged in user. As we see, I will show that a bit later in the. I can just show it right now, actually. And authentication. Okay, so let me start by going to the main application. All right, so so as we hit this endpoint auth, it goes over to the authentication URLs, which is down here. And then under here, we have a session, we have JWT. So we are mainly using this. So we have JWT, then login, logout. Then we have me. All right. So the path here would be auth stroke me. Okay. So that is so basically that's what it is. Uh, so the path would be API um, stroke auth stroke me. So let's and if we are to look at this, um, this should just return for us uh, these fields. Okay. So if I try to um, query it, it returns an error saying a message saying authentication credentials were not provided. So what we are going to do, let's log in using the login API, which I already showed right here, JWT login. So it will be our API auth JWT login. So this is the username and password. All right, so okay, let's assume this is not there because all right, so if I don't put username and password and I try to log in, this is a post. And by the way, for us to know why it is a post, if we see here, this is the view for this. So it will, we are using a post. So uh, if I send, it will ask me that password and email are required. So if I put them and I send, boom, it logs in and returns the token. So I'm elaborating this so that we'll be able to, have a proper understanding once we cross over to the front end. All right, so now let's see. I can take this token, okay, and go down here uh, and try to log in to query to get my user. So I will just replace this old token that is right here. I will replace it with this. So not something, we're adding an authorization header, and then this is a bearer token. Now, earlier when it refused to work, I had to do some bit of research about tokens. So there will be like a bearer token, then the JWT token. So there's a bit of uh, details to those tokens. This one is a bearer token. We'll get into the details of the types of tokens a bit later. But what we know is that this token has three parts. It has the header, which is this. It has the body, and then this is the part that uniquely identifies as the token. And we see that these three parts of the token are separated by dots, and yeah. So for now, that's it. So this token, if I click here, send, I see I'm able to successfully log in and successfully return the user. So basically on the front end, we are using the same kind of concept and just adding some extra things. So if I go to the front end, I'll start with, I'll just go over to all right. So in my store, I just have the three logging in, logging out, and then getting the current user who is logged in. So this is pretty much UX, state getters and mutations. But let's see what is happening here. Okay. So of course I have my login form, username and password. I have this method. So when I call this method, I then call my action, which is this basically. All right. And then once I'm logged in, I move on to the home page. So let's see how the perform login works. Okay. So this is just constructing a form that we'll use to send to the backend. So pretty much normal stuff. So Axios we provide the URL here, And what we see is that I'm providing this kind of URL because I will later show you why this is not HTTP or why there is no localhost to it. Because ideally a full URL is supposed to look like this, but I'll show you a bit later why we are able to do it this way. But so we this is the URL we are using, login, and then the form data which has basically the username and password. Uh, so if I go back to my login page, this is the data I'm passing, email and password basically. So that's what we are passing down here. So the response that is returned is basically has a token in it. So um, uh, we pick the token and then we set the token to the state, which is I'm basically setting it to the state and also adding it to the local storage. Yeah, we add it to the local storage such that when we are making our subsequent requests to the to the back end, we will just attach the header which basically has the token, and then that's how we'll be able to access our backend. So our requests will now be authenticated once they have the authorization header. But we keep at that point picking it from the local storage. So we add it to the local storage, and then we also set the header. Okay, so when we log in, we add it to the local storage, we set the access header. So authorization, then the same way so our token are, so this is very, very important because once we do this, this header will now be available on every, because now we are adding it to the default headers. So it will be available on every request sent to the backend. So we don't have to manually come now to the request and add headers. This will do for us the magic. And then, because here we are setting it to the we are setting the token to the state. Now, so that is what we do here when we say commit, when we set the token. So once we do that, we want to get the current logged in user, because at this point we have been able to successfully log in. So we have set the token to the state and the local storage, and now we want to get the current user. So we have another action down here whose target is to get the current user using our previously seen URL. That then once we get the user, we also set, this is a mutation setting to the to the state. So we are setting our user to the store, and once we do that, then we log in. So at this once we do that, we get the currently logged in user, and that's all. So we resolve the response. So now, if there is an error, then we want to make sure that we clear the the token in the local storage. If it is there for for whatever reason, if it exists, maybe this is the second time we are logging in, and maybe previously the logout was not successful, whatever reason, the, the, the the token would be in the store, or would be in the local storage, or in the state. This is, we want to make sure that once the login fails, we remove them. So clearing, we of course set to the token to null in the state. We remove the token from the local storage, and also we remove the authorization header. So which means at this point, when we clear the token, remove it from the state, remove it from the store, and also remove the header, it means that now every request sent to the backend has no authorization header, so therefore it won't be authenticated. All right, so that's it. here. So let's see. That's how login works. Then logout is basically just taking the logout URL, and it also at this point logout also requires the token because it needs to know which user is logged out. So in fact, if I try to so let me take this same token to just demonstrate that, and I try to log out. Um, okay, all right. So if I try to log out without an authorization header and I do this, boom, it tells me authentication credentials were not provided. So even logging out requires, so I'll paste the right token and then I send, boom. Right now as we talk, we actually logged out. So even if I come here, or sorry, I'd already moved away from here, but even if I try now to come here and try to get my user, it will tell me error decoding token because we already logged out. So so this log out requires the authorization header. But again, like I said, here we are not adding headers manually like this. We would do something like this and add headers, but we are not doing this because this would be hectic to add this to every request going to the back end. So what we did earlier when we logged in, setting the header right here, are this header will also be available here with the proper token. Now once there is an error logging out, we log it, and once we log out, we want to make sure we clear the token and we clear the user. The same thing we had seen earlier. This we clear and remove everything. All right, so that's it. And one thing that I forgot to mention is that when we are logging in and we getting the current user, if there is a problem in getting the current user for whatever reason, then we try to log out because there is no importance for being logged in or having the token locally when you actually cannot have the user. So if we get a problem in getting the user, we also try to log out. So in brief here, I've demonstrated how we log in, how we log out, and how we get the current logged in user. So now, the other things that I demonstrated, for example, we just using a short URL here. So let me show you. In our main, we're just doing, I'm adding the base URL, which is this. So this kind of saves me the burden to, you know, uh, go constructing it everywhere I'm sending my requests. It would be quite tiresome if a port changed and then I have to go to every request modifying this. But if I add it to the base URL, it means that every request will use this as its base URL. Now, since I've put it here, I could now easily change this. I could now add it to the environment, and then I pick it from the environment at this stage. So that would be yeah, it would be good. And then if we are loading the application and we happen to have our token already, for whatever reason we are loading the page, we refresh, and this main is called again. We want to make sure that we have our header there. Same thing we did the other side. Still trying to check whether we still need to do this here, but that's the whole idea. So now, the other thing I wanted to demonstrate is something I showed earlier, like which one do I start with? Now, there are when the token is not found locally, are so let me try to demonstrate this. So it go. So what I showed earlier is I've logged in. Okay, logging in. Show if the I actually need to add some um, way to display the errors. Uh, all right, so what we saw earlier is that everything works fine, blah, boom. So when I delete the token, where do we check that if the token is not available, log us out? And like if I refresh here now, it will log us out um, and redirect us to the login page. So where are we doing that? So this is where we are doing that, and we are doing this at the routing level. So we have navigation guards. If you want to check more about navigation guards, uh, you know, uh, navigation guards provided by ViewRouter are primarily used to guard navigations either by redirecting it or canceling it. Now, there are multiple ways of, there are multiple ways to hook into the route navigation process. So one of them is using before each. Then there are other things like after each. I think no, before each. So there is before each, before enter, then plus these others. Then after each, yes, after each. So before each is something we want to do before we navigate to the to every route. So this at this point it will help us to do whatever we want to do before we navigate to any route. So this kind of saves us the work of having to go to specific routes and adding, because this could also be added to specific routes, but if you add it in one place, then it becomes easier to like be applicable to everything within the application, to all the routes. So specifically in our situation, so what we are doing here is saying that if the token is not found locally, because we try to get the token locally, if it's not there and we are not on the login page, so what this means is that we are somewhere in the page, like maybe we are at home or we are on this other page, and then we don't have the token. So for whatever reason, if like I deleted the token, then I was already on this page, then I come and refresh, so it is going to hit this, because this now applies to every route. The moment I do this, this will be executed. So and I added some stuff here, some messages, so that we can see how these ones play out. So um, okay. All right. So if the token is not available and we are not on the login page, so what we want to do is to log out and then move into the login page. We want to be able to log out, make sure that we are fully logged out. To be safe, we are fully logged out, and then we go to the login page. So if I demonstrate again, I will do this. Now, I added the message right here, which says token not in local while away from login page, calling logout. So we'll see. I removed the token. So if I do this, if I try to go to, maybe it will execute this. It will execute this and then show us this message. Okay. And then it will go ahead to actually call the this action. Okay. Because we imported the store from above, and then we are now calling the action. All right, and then it will redirect us to login. Now the other thing is, when a user was not found but we have the token. So there might be a situation where the user is found in the state or from our getters, and then we don't have the token. So there's no way you need to have a user without a token. So we also want to be able to get the user. Since we have the token, it means we are logged in. But there are sometimes when you like refresh and then the user disappears from the state. So in such a case, we don't want to log out. We want to keep logged in, but we want to get the user. So for most of this, if I try to log in, okay, already logged in. So you see, user not in state while token is available. So for example, if I tried and removed this, do we see what happens? We are actually logged in, okay? But for some reason, I think for some reason, the user is not available in the state. So if we actually inspect and see what's going on, um, so the user is not available. So you see, get user is empty. And of course, this is a getter which gets its data from the state. So it means the user is not available in state. This might be a Vuex thing that when I refresh the page, I would have to check out again and remember if that's the case. But when I refresh, the state, the user is no longer available from the state. Okay, so in that case, what we are doing is that if the user is not available, just get the user again, get the user again. So this will call our earlier method and then put the user in the state. Okay, so that's now, as you can see, the user now is available. So that's how we did that. Then now there are instances where, for example, I'll comment out this one. If we are already logged in and then someone navigates to the login page, so we don't want someone to go to the login page yet they're already logged in. They will try to log in again. So if I comment out this to demonstrate that. All right, so let me comment out that. So if I try to go to the login page, boom, you see, I'll be able to go to the login page and yet I'm actually still logged in. Then let me try to go back and refresh. So you see, I'm able to switch between the login, the home, and then maybe I go back, I'll get myself to log. So we don't want that because the moment a user sees this, they know, oh, I'm not logged in. So it would be bad if they come here, oh, I'm already logged in. So it's kind of not consistent with what the user would be thinking. So what we need to do is to still within again, these could be different router guards. I could just put them in different before each, but I just decided to put them in one. I will refactor later once all this is good. So if the user goes to the login, oh, this should be the user. Okay, so if the user goes to the login but is logged in, redirect to home. So what we want to check is that if again, this, by the way, this before each, like we saw earlier, it takes in to, from. So to will stand for where are we going, to which route are we going to. Then from, it stands for to which route where are we coming from. So that route has a lot of details. If I logged like this to, we would see if I did console log this to, I'll see. Okay, so we see it has a lot of stuff. So, and part of the stuff is, let's see, what we're checking for is the name of the route. So that, okay. So the name of the route, of course, when we are defining routes, we have the names there, so I can actually call a route by specifying its name by, or path or whatever I like. So so this to name, again, if I log, if I had a from here, I don't have it because I don't need it, and I could also, have it like this if I didn't need the to, but I need the to. Some people also add next, but this next was phased out. It's no longer, uh, you know, it's still supported, but not recommended because it was actually removed because it was causing a lot of confusion. Yeah, but so from here, we want to check that if the name of the current route is login, okay, and we have the token. So it means we have the token, yet you are showing that you are trying to go to the login page. Again, we said to is where you're going to, and from is where you're coming from. So if a person tries to go to the login page, this is what we are trying to check. So someone is trying to go to the login page, yet they have a token. So in that case, we want to say, hey, 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 please return to home because this is our home. This is home. So here we are trying to say, hey, hey, return home. You're already logged in, return home. So that's why if now I am saved, if this is saved, if I try to log in now, it's like sends me back to the login to the home page. Um, Login, boom. And I actually added this message so that we can know that this is being called. So attempted to go to page while to go to login page while already logged in. So redirecting to home. So that's basically what we are seeing here. Yeah. So I'll just again remove this log. So that's it basically. Uh, Let me see if I have missed out anything. And then there are also like interceptors that one could add. Interceptors, basically the same way you hear the word intercept, you can intercept a request. Before a request is sent, you want to do something. You get a response. Before a response is used, you want to check something. You want to do something. So I've added some empty interceptors here because I may need them later. So um, you can intercept requests or responses before they are handled by then or catch. So this is pretty much straightforward. I just really collected this and added some empty interceptors, but they are good. Later we'll try to use them for some stuff, but I said let me add them early ahead of time because I definitely will need them. Yeah, and this, by the way, applies to all the requests the moment we have an interceptor. So some people could do, like stuff here. They could do some error handling within interceptors and do some, some stuff there. So this is it about login. Let me see if did I miss anything. Let me check my repo and see if I missed anything. So we have one problem, which I found out is that when the token is deleted from the front end, back end will not be able to log out since it needs a valid token to log out. So let me show you something. Earlier, let's see. This is logged in. Everything is good. Perfect. So let me just take this token. Okay, I've copied it. Now, what this is talking about is, let's say I try to delete the token here. I clear the token. I refresh. Boom. It logs me out. But if you try to see here, it says token not found in local storage. while away from login page. So basically at this point, we are calling this because we didn't find the token and we are inside the application. So what happens? It tries to log out. So, but when it tries to log out, remember we deleted the token. So it tries to log out, but we don't have the token. And as we saw earlier, even the log out needs the token so that the backend can know who is being logged out. So what happens is that the log out endpoint gets a 500, and you see we have an error logging out, because if you go back to our store, you'll see that while logging out, if it fails, we try to log the error. So it means that at this point it failed. And if we try to go into what happened, response headers, we see we have a 500, a 500. So with that, a user at this point will, because I can't go anywhere, I will think that I am logged in, I'm logged out. But actually, in the back end, we were not able to log out. Let me prove to you that if, let me see, okay, let me provide the right token here, the one I copied from the other side. Boom, we are still logged in, yet remember I copied the token from this side before I deleted it. So the user thinks he's logged out, but actually the backend is still logged in. Okay, and if we try to even log out this side, we will also need the token. So if I provide the token here, the proper token, then I do boom. Now this is now I have logged out, because if I try to access this again, error decoding token. So now the thing is, if for example someone was able to get my token, then they would be able to log in even when I'm logged out on the front end. But of course, if the user is using the application, they would now go able, and they would be at this point they would probably try to log in again, and a new token would be generated, and that case wouldn't happen. But there is that loophole. There is that loophole that I haven't thought about how to go around. All right, so let me see if there is anything else we are missing. So the backend implementation, login with Postman and DRF browser. By the way, if we go to our Django REST API, you see we also able to see to get the info. If we go to auth JWT login, we are also actually able to log in from here. Log out. Not sure if logout should work from here, but yeah, login should be fine. Yeah. So yeah. So that we did that. Store token in the local storage. That one is done. Navigate to home after login and show that one we did. And if you want to know how we are showing the email in our so if you're interested in knowing how we are showing our email in our top bar, so basically we're doing something simple. We are just getting the user from the getters, and then by the way, as I mentioned, you can also log out from, let me first show you the user. You can get the getter, sorry, the user from the getter, and then this get user is what we have up here. So we are collecting the email. So it means as long as this returns data and we have data here, then it means we can actually display our email. Of course, here I could add more info and all that related to the user. And also we have a logout here. This that you see here, if I log out, like I'd shown you earlier, log out, boom, it actually properly logs out and deletes the token. So that with that, I have a logout method here, so which basically calls our logout action, perform logout action. That's about it. So let's see, test timeout. So one thing I haven't done is to handle timeout, to like have the token expiring. So I haven't tried to do that. Um, I need to check my backend and see. So basically, token expiry, I haven't tried to put that into consideration. Then ensuring login page is displayed while timeout happens. So this should actually be fine, but this is all basically about handling timeout. So that if a token is supposed to expire, let's say after 1 hour or 30 minutes, if it expires, then the user should automatically be logged out and redirected to the login page. We added the interceptors. This is an issue that I explained about. So there's also some article here that I found interesting. It has just authentication best practices for you, so you can take some time and go through and see what there is as well. All right, is there something I didn't cover? Oh yes, I earlier talked about the JWT, um, uh, the structure of that token. So we have the header, payload, or the body, and then the signature, which basically uniquely identifies the token. So now our this is here. This article is basically breaking down the information in the token. You can see it's like one long token, but it actually has those three parts, and they are trying to show what the header contains. Part of the thing is the header contains the algorithm, and then this is the body. It also contains information like expiry and other information, and basically user related information. So here we could actually have a user within the token, and then you could even add roles. So basically, by having just a token, it can give you much information. Like you are able to know like the algorithm that is used. Um, you are able to know which user uh, which user is attached to the token, and you're able even to know the roles. You can attach all that information. That all information can come within a token, and that's why JWT tokens can be used for both authentication and authorization, yeah, because they can carry all that kind of information. And then there is this the signature part. So one could read more about this JWT token to have like a deeper understanding. Um, then you could also read about the difference between the bearer and the JWT. Um, because ideally, when we are sending the authorization header, sometimes here where we have bearer, sometimes you can have our JWT there. But in my case, I have to put bearer because it's a bearer token. But details of that information and get more understanding, I'm not going to cover it in this video. Also, some last statements, some last talk about what is happening on the back end. So as we can see, we have just these views, the login, then the log out. By the way, we are using Django REST, JWT. If you check here, let me see, Django REST, so we are using REST framework JWT. If you want, you can search this one out. It's something you can install and gives you a proper way to do JWT in Django. All right, using Django REST framework. Just looking at the views again, this is as simple as it looks. The logout, just that. Just that. So the back end, I'm not going to focus so much on it. It's something that one could set up from, by even going through a tutorial like this. Yeah, but I just wanted to bring the whole idea of how everything connects together. All right, thank you. If there is anything I didn't cover in this one, I'll try and cover it in another video. Bye.